What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another Izzy Dip, which is to say a lucky dip provided by great friend Izzy World, and this is another one from his All Killer No Filler playlist. And this is by the Manic Street Preachers, a name I've certainly heard out there. Maybe some folks have even suggested them for reactions prior to this. But yeah, I don't think I've heard anything by them directly, at least I can't think of any particular song, but again, it's a name that I've seen out in the musical world. Though, again, not thinking or not recalling any history with hearing them, I don't know what to expect sonically, but I'm very intrigued by the title because it's If You Tolerate This, Your Children Will Be Next, which sounds like holding power to account. It sounds like standing up against oppression and persecution even when it doesn't affect you or yours personally, which of course makes me think of that famous saying, I think from a priest in World War II, where, first they came for the trade unionists and I wasn't one of them, so I didn't speak up. Then they came for the socialists and the communists. I didn't say anything. I didn't speak up. And then eventually they come for him and there's no one left to speak up for him or to protect him. So it feels like a similar type of sentiment. Now, maybe it's not as dire as all that, but on the surface of it, it sounds again like resisting oppression and persecution even if it doesn't personally affect you yet or for the time being, and having solidarity with those who are more vulnerable and marginalized. And again, maybe it'll actually be something lighter, like a cultural reference that isn't as dire as it sounds. But on the surface of it, that's what I take away from this, the idea of holding power to account and not letting them run roughshod over all of society. And it feels like in 2026, this message is perhaps as needed as it has ever been. So without further ado, let's give it a listen. This is Manic Street Preachers, and the tune is If You Tolerate This, Your Children Will Be Next.
Future teaches you to be alone, the present to be afraid and cold. So if I can't treat rabbits, then
epic tune sonically. Lyrically, I didn't catch everything, though I do think it was headed in the direction that I considered in advance, at least in principle. I heard reference to fascists, I heard reference to bullets flying, and the chorus, again, that idea that, if this is okay with you, then it's going to get worse, it's not going to get better, and if you don't hold power to account now, they're going to come for every marginalized group, they're going to come for every vulnerable and or opposing party, and, the violently enforced conformity is something which is right around the corner. So it feels like that's kind of the message here. Either way, the song itself, though, had sort of this epic and even triumphant sound to it. The idea that maybe people will stand up for each other, people will, form bonds and resist oppression and persecution by those who seek to, stifle opposition or, persecute their enemies and so on. And in that regard, it felt hopeful, even though the bits I did catch from the lyrics feel like they're describing the danger, the other side of that. And yeah, I enjoy that like distorted or that effect guitar, or the guitar with effects on it, which was really prominent in that little interlude. And I enjoy the cascading vocals upward at the end of the chorus. And it was a bit different. It kind of reminded me of a Keane song. Now, like, some of the sonics weren't what I would think of when I think of Keane, but overall it had a bit of the feel of one of their tunes, which I say as a great compliment because I've become a big fan of that band. But yeah, definitely a cool tune, and I am certainly curious about the Manic Street Preachers, not just, from the sonics of this song, but wondering, is this a band that addresses, political and social and cultural issues of, let's say, greater weight, like heavier types of songs, which, again, nothing wrong with singing about relationships or, sort of psychological, like internal matters. I find great inspiration in different types of lyrics, but as someone who comes from the world of punk rock for many, many years, I am especially sympathetic for those who kind of look outward and see what's going on with the world and call out problems and, seek camaraderie and, people, forging bonds, again, against oppressive forces and those who, seek enforced conformity and so on. So either way, I enjoyed it. Once again, big shout out to Izzy. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Peace.